It is difficult not to know what your body's going to be doing, minute by minute or hour by hour. It's hard to make plans if I don't know if I'll be able to walk or talk or move my hands and feet, or if my neck will be in a dystonic fit. I've learned to get past these things and not identify so strongly with the physical or material world, including my own body, but it's still hard because I have to live in a world where it matters very much how we move and how we appear. I've learned to love this new body. I'm not going to lie and say I'm not some kind of a cynic sometimes or a martyr other times. I'm not going to call myself unselfish or generous. I still have that ego, a very strong shell that I pretend is protecting me once in a while. But the truth is, the only strength I have is my vulnerability, my ability to be curious and teachable and open. I know this. It doesn't mean that I fail at it every day. It's called a practice for a reason. There are some beautiful poems that I just gravitate toward. One is called Love After Love by Derek Walcott. So I'm just going to read it here in the middle of this. The time will come when with elation you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. Man, there's so many great poets out there. I mean, I really loved the poetry archive called On Being. This On Being's poetry archive includes Amanda Palmer reading some Polish poets, and David White reading Mary Oliver, and Joanna Macy reading Rainier Maria Rilke. And of course, the reading of Mark Strand by the woman who's brought us brain pickings and now the marginalian, Maria Popova. I just want to say that I'm grateful to be here. I just came from a grief group where people are dying. They're losing everything. They have to let go of everything. The loss is incalculable. It is unbelievable. It is unmanageable. There are no words for this level of loss. All ages, all situations. Some of them have, quote, what I have, which is Parkinson's disease, and that's very individualized as it is. Quite a misunderstood condition, by the way. We, as in people with Parkinson's, living with it, get tired of explaining, but imagine how tiresome it would be for the carers or care partners or those who love us best. They don't have it, yet they have to live with it and live by it and I guess just tolerate it. But for me, Parkinson's can present like a werewolf. And so I'm like, get away, get away. You know, I'm off the meds, meaning when the meds do not cross the blood-brain barrier, I can't function. And I'm not very pleasant to be around. And that's when I tend to isolate. And isolation, as we know, is the greatest detriment to our health, no matter who we are. That feeling of duality, that lie that we are disconnected somehow is what causes more problems than just our individual suffering. That unconsciousness that leads us to believe we are separate is precisely the problem with the world. If you are to break everything down. Deep Thoughts by HK again, but what I want to tell you is this. If you could see you how I see you, how I look at you, you would never wonder again if you're lovable. You would never say this part of you is too fat or too skinny or too little or too big or whatever the comparisons are. You would realize that you're beautiful, you're necessary, and I need you, whatever it is, because everyone is my teacher, and I do mean everyone. I'm holding a heart. It was sewn together by an 11-year-old and has an H on it. H is not for heart. She made it for me, and I couldn't believe it when this child handed this to me. I started crying, and she didn't know what to do, because crying to her meant that I was sad. And of course, I had to explain, when I could catch my breath, that I was just so grateful for this gift because it was so tender and earnest and sincere in the way she gave it to me and what she said. I want to be like that child. That's my teacher. That's who I want to return to again and again, and to get rid of all this angst, this existential angst and this ego and this feeling of, self-importance. I want to be productive. I want to be useful. I want to have a purpose that includes being of service. But that does not include feeling somehow better, superior, different, or in any way special to others. There's nothing about Parkinson's that makes me special or different. It's a particular way of suffering that gets misunderstood, that may require some explanation, particularly in an emergency room or in an emergency department where people might not understand what symptoms they're looking at or seeing. But other than that, there is no threat, no direct threat except myself. It's always me against me. Everything affects this neurological condition, and I do mean everything. If it's hot or cold, or too damp, or someone said something that was upsetting, or we're in a hurry, or we have too much time, or we haven't slept, or we've eaten protein, or we haven't. It is a finicky disease that I call Princess and the Pea effect all the time with it. So what do? We have to live. How do we live our lives when it's going to be so all over the place? What happens if we can't get the dog outside to stop barking, or the leaf blowers to cease, or the noise in our head when we sit still, how noisy, how loud that can be? What do we do then? Silence can be deafening. How about we pause and we say, is this true? Are these thoughts real? What if they're just thoughts? What if we can separate ourselves temporarily from our thoughts by sitting still and just breathing quietly in a room? And was it Pascal who said, most of the problems we encounter is because a man can't sit alone and be still in a room? Something along those lines. Well, I can say that's true for me. I cannot speak for everyone else, but when I get mad and noisy, that's when the trouble starts, from within. And no pun intended, but you can't shake me. Only I can shake me. Parkinson's can, of course, but that's involuntary as well. Back to what we can control and what we can think about. How might I be of service? How might I get away from myself? And how might I love better? Those are the questions I'm asking. What questions are you asking? I'd like to hear. I did a short video from some questions people had asked in my email that I just found. And these are one is from 2 years ago. I apologize. That is how often I check my email in bulk like that. There are 17 more specific questions that I would like to address. I'll do 3 at a time or so in these little short videos, and I'll keep posting them along, as they come up. But for now, I hope something in this talk was useful. This is just off-the-cuff morning notes, and I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. And it is in part because of the rehabilitation staff of a particular hospital that I owe a great debt to. Incredible nurses and OT and PT. I cannot wait to thank them. I plan to attend an event in September where I get to look into the crowd and see them and thank them. What a beautiful moment to be able to say thank you. And this practice of gratitude is what I'll leave you with here today. With all this thinking and pondering and reflecting, what might I do that's useful? How can I leave people, places, and things better than I found them? Even when I am broken, even when I am feeling like I have nothing to give. That's never going to be true. I'm glad that you were here today, and I hope you have a great day. Until next time.